Good morning and welcome to the Daily Tanya. Today is Tuesday, the 13th day of Iyar. Let's begin with tzedakah. Gedola tzedakah shemekareves es hageula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. So we continue chapter 48. The Alter Rebbe talks about the tzimtzum, the contraction. That God, in order to create us, to create a world, He contracted His great light, what we call the light of Hashem, the energy that is here. And the light, the energy that animates this world, that makes us exist, is so small in comparison to the light of Ein Sof before the contraction. And he gave the example, the example of in numbers, when you compare number 1 to a billion, is very little. Obviously, it's a big difference, but there is a relation. But when you compare billions and billions compared to infinity, there is no relation at all. There's no comparison. There's no line that draws from the beginning to the end. And we spoke about that there are things that develop from cause to effect, where there is a line, there's a connection between the cause and the effect. But then, here when talking about the creation is created in a way that there is no connection. You don't see the connection. And the fact that you don't see the connection doesn't mean that there is no connection. There is 2 ways of how Hashem animates this world. He animates this world in a way of memala kol almin, that fills the world. That means there is certain energy that fits to each creature according to its level. And then there is the light, which is sovev kol almin, encompassing the world, encircling the world. It doesn't mean encircling in physical space, because we're talking about spiritual things. There is no physical space. That means encircling that this is equally in everywhere. An example we can use is from the way the soul, the different energies that the soul brings into the body. There is the power of sight, the power of movement, the power of thinking, and each and every power those are the powers that are enclosed, so to speak, in the body. There's particular power that we're able to see through the eye. The eye draws this particular power. But then there is a power that is encompassing the entire person. And that is, for example, the power of will. When I want something, ratzon, the will, you don't want with your hand and you don't want with your eyes, you want. And when you want, this is an encompassing power. And that is something that is true in every part of you. And the will, is the saying, when there is the will, there is a way. When the will has the ability to make the person do things that he doesn't think he can do. Even understanding something, when you want to understand, your logic works differently. And again, this power of will is an encompassing power. So this is just one example to understand this concept. There's certain things that you absorb in an internal way, and there's certain things that is there, but you don't see it. It's an encompassing way. You can't pinpoint it, what it is. So here the same thing is with the power that Hashem animates this world. There's this individual, particular power that goes individually to each creature, And then there is the encompassing power that is beyond our reach, but it's there. It's equally in every level. So let's see what the Alter Rebbe explains inside. The kocho mamash, just like we said, we used the example of the numbers, how a small number is in comparison to a large number has some kind of relationship, but in comparison to infinity is no relationship whatsoever. You cannot measure the relationship. וכוחו ממש מבחינת האור המועטת זו המסלבשת באילומות עליונים ותחתונים להשפיע בהם לחייסם. So indeed is the utterly insignificant quality of this minute illumination after the contraction, which clothed itself in the higher and lower worlds in order to provide them with sustenance and life. So that level of godliness, the minute contracted level of energy, the godly energy, compared to the great light before the contraction, has no relation, has no comparison. לגבי ערך אור הגנוז ונעלם שהוא מבחינת אין סוף, when compared with the quality of the hidden and concealed light that is of an infinite order, ואינו מסלבש ומשפיע בעולם הזה מבחינת גילוי לאחייסם, and does not clothe itself or exercise its influence in the worlds in a revealed manner. אלא מקיף עליהם מלמעלה, ונקרא סובב כל עלמין. Providing them with life, but encompasses them from above, meaning it exerts its influence while remaining on its own level, and is called Sovev Kol Almin, literally encompassing all worlds. So unlike the light that pervades all world, the Memala Kol Almin, which permeates and vests itself within them, just as the soul vests itself in the body, the encompassing light remains aloof from the world. And Alter Rebbe goes on to explain, not like some people who understand the concept of Kabbalah, that Sovev Kol Almin, Memal Kol Almin in the literal sense. That means that encompassing means surrounding and not here. So the Alter Rebbe says we're not talking about spatially surrounding. ואין הפירוש סובב ומקיף מלמעלה מבחינת מוקם חס ושלום כלא שייך כלל מבחינת מוקם רוחניס. The meaning of this is not that it encircles and encompasses from above spatially, God forbid. For in spiritual matters, the category of space is in no way applicable. Physical objects are spatial. They may be said to be found in one place or the other. Spirituality, however, is non-spatial. The terms encompassing and encircling are never to be understood in their literal physical sense. So what does it mean? Encompassing, that it's not internalized, like the example we gave with the will of a person. But the meaning is that it encircles and encompasses from above insofar as the revelation of this influence is concerned, meaning something that it encircles is not revealed to the person. Something that it enclosed is revealed to the person. Another example is when a teacher teaches a student. There are certain things that the teacher says to the students and the student understands. But then there are certain things that the student hears words, a child hears deep words, and he hears the words and he understands every single word what he says, but it does not understand the meaning, the deeper meaning, and that is encompassing and encircling the child. Our sages tell us that after 40 years, a person can reach the depth of his teacher. You can hear the same words and understand what your teacher said, but really understanding the depth is concealed from the person, ultimately can be revealed. When it comes to God, God is limitless. Obviously, we can never reach the ultimate depth of God. But this is what he's saying. The encompassing light means it's an encompassing light that is here, but is concealed from our understanding, is just here in an encompassing way. Continues the Alter Rebbe. כי השפוש הוא בבחינת גילוי באוילמויס נקרא בשם הלבושה שמתלבשת באוילמויס. For an influence which is in the category of revelation in the worlds is referred to as investiture, being clothed within the worlds. For the influence that they receive is clothed and comprehended by them, meaning they are able to comprehend and internalize it. מה שאין כן השפעה שאינו בבחינת גילוי, אלא בהסתר והלם, ואין האוילמס משיגים איסר, אינו נקרא מלבשת, אלא מקפס וסבהבס. Whereas the influence which does not come within the category of revelation, but remains obscured and concealed and is not apprehended by the world, is not described as being invested in them, but as encircling and encompassing them. Therefore, since the worlds belong in the order of the finite and limited, נמצא שאין השפעת אייר אינסוף מסלבש ומסגל בהם מבחינת גילוי, רק מעט מזה אייר האור המועטס מצומצמת מועד מועד. It follows that only an extremely minute and contracted reflection of the flow of the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof clothes and manifests itself in them in a revealed form. So the light, the energy that we have is very, very small level, small reduced level of the light before the contraction. And this is only to animate them in a finite and revealed state. In order for creation to come about, there must necessarily be at least some glimmer of godly illumination, albeit in an extremely limited form. For this enables creation to be finite and bounded. But the principal light that is without contraction to such an extent is called makif, and circular, and soivev, encompasser. Since its influence is not revealed within the worlds, inasmuch as they belong in the order of the finite and the limited. That's the end of today's lesson. But the Rebbe goes on and on to explain the vast difference and what Hashem did for us in order to create us limited beings. And tomorrow, the Alter Rebbe will give more examples to understand this concept. Have a wonderful day. B'ezrat Hashem. We'll see you tomorrow.